All right. So we're going to talk about Ukraine and Biden with that. So, but Biden has decided that Putin can do whatever he wants. Now, he said that he can either invade or he can choose not to. Here's the danger with that. We're going to have people who are going over to a country we have no business being in. It's going to cause so many issues for our current brothers and sisters in the military because people are going to die over there and you're going to have PTSD from it and survivor's guilt. Now, here's my biggest issue with this is that the allies will decide to go and fight because NATO will decide that, UN is going to decide that because they're going to think that what Putin is doing is wrong. And it's going to be on Biden. The death of those soldiers will be on Biden. The PTSD that will come from it, the survivor's guilt, it will all be on Biden. All that blood is going to be on his head. And Biden doesn't seem to care or think about the consequences of shit that he says or does. But no politician does. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't believe any politician actually understands the consequences that will come from their actions. So, why is it that they choose this and we just have to follow? I honestly believe that it should be a thing of vets and current members in service should have a vote on are we getting involved or not? What are the reasons we should get involved? What are the reasons we should not get involved? Okay, let's vote on this. And it's up to us vets and up to us in service of if we do this or not. Not politicians, not the UN. Because every war that has been fought has made a politician rich. And they just say, fuck the numbers. That's what we are. We're just numbers. Between the years of 2007, and I know I'm gearing this more towards the 22, it's because it's what I care more about. I don't care about politician. I don't care about how they can try to find a way to sleep at night with the soul that they don't have. And that's the thing is that politicians that just choose that we go to war, they have no soul. I believe that about politicians. They have no soul. They have no heart. Um, how do you sleep at night, Biden? I mean, you left how many over in Afghanistan, and they tell us that they all got out, and we've already started pulling people out of the Ukraine, which at least we started doing that instead of doing the shit show that was. Give me that pen, fucker. Um, well, Afghanistan, we at least started pulling people out of our embassies already. So maybe learn from this shit show in Afghanistan? I don't know. But between 2007 and 2017, 6,000 vets committed suicide. That's 600 vets a year. And that's the most recent numbers we have for how many vets die a year. I looked it up last night, and that was the numbers it gave me. I typed in how many vets a year die from suicide, and it gave me 2007 to 2017, 6,000 vets took their own life. 23% of 23% of America's population are veterans, and that said that it includes current members and vets. And of that 23%, 7% commit suicide. And of that 23%, only 1% a year will join the military. Sorry, only 3% a year will join the military, and only 1% will actually be infantry, which is what I was. So, there's a lot of fucking numbers right there. And if you guys want to Google me on that, if you guys want to Google those numbers and make sure those are accurate, go for it. Here's the other thing Biden did: $2.5 million deal to Egypt. He gave them weapons to deal with a national threat. Okay, Ronald Reagan did that with Syria, along with the author. I believe his name was Oliver North. Yeah, not to be confused with Oliver Stone. I used to get those two confused all the time. Oliver Stone is a director or a producer, and Oliver North is an author. At that time, he was a Marine general, and I think he was his like military advisor or something like that at that time. And he ended up taking the fall for it, saying that they lost this cache of weapons. But from giving those weapons to Syria, we got ISIS, or IS, or whatever it is they call themselves now, or did call themselves because they pretty much got eradicated. You can thank Trump. If my mic didn't hear me, you can thank Trump. Here's the issue that we don't seem to be grasping. Love him or hate him, things were better under Trump. I was not necessarily a fan of Trump. I liked him as a president. I hated him as a person. Yeah, I think he could have been more tactful with what he said. Yeah, but at the same time, that's kind of what made me geared towards him, was that, okay, this guy just says things the way he sees it. Does he see some things as in a very dumb way? Yeah, he does. But at least he's someone I can relate to because he doesn't try to sound like he's smarter than he is. Biden doesn't try to sound smarter than he is either because he can't fucking form a sentence. So don't get me wrong there. But this is who we elected. We elected someone who can't even form a fucking sentence. And some happy news. This came from one of the liberal media pages. I can't remember, CNN or MSNBC or NBC or who it was. But they were talking about that Biden might be looking at impeachment because of the border crisis. And quite honestly, he should be looking at impeachment. And I don't want Harris either, because fuck that bitch. But they both, or specifically Biden right now, because he is the commander in chief. I still think someone else is pulling the strings. But what? Sorry, tinnitus. Or tinnitus. It's something like that. It's the constant rain of the ears. I've got it. Sorry. But you should be looking at for the whole situation with Ukraine too. Because of the fact that he is not gearing us towards the right area. He is actually doing quite the opposite. My mic, because I'm worried about battery dying. I haven't changed that battery in a while. I need to get a new battery. going to be running into town tomorrow, so I'll get a new battery tomorrow. But I'll re-say what I just said in case my mic did die. He should be looking at impeachment because of the whole thing with Ukraine and Russia, because of the way he's handling that, just trying to say whatever happens, happens. That's the synopsis of what he said. That's the synopsis. He literally said Putin can do whatever he wants at this point. We, as a nation, were coming divided about Trump because people were saying, oh, he's in bed with Russia. How does that not sound like something like, I don't really care what he does. What he doesn't understand is if that happens, the allies are going to decide, hey, we're going to go help out. And if the allies decide we're going to go help, they're going to pull the other allies in. UN is going to get involved. UN is going to tell the other nations to get involved. And you realize that economically, Biden's going to get a pitch from somebody way up saying, look at what Ukraine has to offer. Or look at what Russia has to offer, whichever way they decide to go with it. I'm more hopeful that we go on Ukraine's side than Russia, because at this point, I feel like Ukraine is not the agitator at this point. I feel like they are the agitated. But either way, I don't want us going to war, because this is not a war that involves us. Here's what's going to happen from us going to war. You're going to get people who get killed on both sides. And then if the allies go to war, I'm not going to say they are going to, because I'm not a psychic. I can't say that we are going to for sure go into war. But I can say what it's leading towards. I can say that this looks like history repeating itself every fucking time a country goes to war. Somehow, America gets involved in it. Somehow, the allies stick their nose where it doesn't belong. We become everybody's police force. And I'm sick of it. And I'm not just talking about America, I'm talking about all the allies. All the allies do it. And the whole thing back to Egypt. No, I'll keep going with Ukraine and then I'll go into Egypt. The whole thing with Ukraine is people are going to die on both sides and on the allies if we go to war, like I already said. You're now going to have motherless and fatherless children. You're going to have parents growing up without their son or their daughter. You're going to have a husband or wife who doesn't have their spouse. You're going to have a niece or nephew who doesn't have their uncle or their aunt. You're going to have an uncle or aunt who doesn't have their niece or nephew. You're going to have cousins. You're going to have friends. You're going to have boyfriends. You're going to have girlfriends. You get the picture. Who don't have that person in their life. And here is how the government's going to look at it. And here's how the media is going to push it. It's a number. Let's mention their name for a quick snippet. Okay, move on. Family got a flag. Family got a medal. Okay, move on. We got some burial site. Move on. And everybody forgets. Between 2007 and 2017, 6,000 vets committed suicide. 600 vets a year for 10 years. Why am I pissed? Why am I sitting here saying this is a mistake? Because I'm sick and tired of seeing my brothers and sisters coming home and giving up. I heard a vet say one time they couldn't kill us while we were at war, so they shouldn't be able to kill us at home. And he wasn't just talking about PTSD, he wasn't just talking about survivor's guilt, he was also talking about the VA. And why? Why? I'm so sick of us pushing pills on veterans. We're constantly pushing everything and pushing our vets to the side. Here, just take this and go away. Get over it. It happened. That's what people would say. Seriously. You might not be saying it. Your friend might not be saying it. But that's what people say. And unless you've been there, unless you've been in those shoes, you have no idea. I'm on so many social media posts, or so many social media pages, sorry, that are geared towards all of us vets that are talking. We constantly talk with each other and tell each other what's going on. And then I also get, unfortunately, I also get the news that we lost another brother or sister. And it's not just here that I'm getting this news from, it's overseas too. Or not overseas, but over in other countries. Like different branches of the military, different country militaries, where they're talking about we lost a brother and sister. Because to us vets, even if they're not wearing the same flag as we are, they're still our brother or our sister. And I'm just getting tired of constantly hearing that kind of news. And now here's another bit of information. Do you know that our media and our government doesn't mention when a soldier gets killed in a peace environment or a peace mission? Google how many die a day on American soil. Not from suicide, just from a training exercise. Excuse me. Google how many die during a peaceful mission. But we're going to have a hard time finding the numbers. You won't find names unless you actually go to a plaque. And even then, some of the names aren't even on there. And it's depressing to me. And I get this, and my heart just gets heavy. And every time that happens, a piece of us dies. Some of us dies too. It doesn't matter if it was suicide, doesn't matter if it was combat, doesn't matter if it was during a training operation, doesn't matter if it was they're flying over in a helicopter on faulty maintenance, which happened a year ago on the same deployment I was on, but I was not there during that when that happened. But it happened. And every time we see that, I shouldn't say every time, but a lot of us will look at it and be like, why? Why did it happen then and not when I was there? What happened? What went wrong? and then you'll get a type of survivor's guilt. And survivor's guilt and PTSD are two different things. You can have PTSD, you can have survivor's guilt, or you can just have PTSD, or you can just have survivor's guilt. You don't have to have both at the same time, and you can have one and not the other. And this is my 5th time trying to remake this video, by the way, because my mic was being stupid the first, 2 times my mic was being stupid. The 3rd time, YouTube had a horrible time trying to upload it. The 4th time I said something that was against operational security, so deleted that one, and this is the 5th run. So this is my 5th time trying to make this, and hoping to God it turns out. No, it's actually the 6th time, because the 5th time I started rambling on about something that wasn't even important, and now I'm on take number 6. So, I'm hoping to God this is the one. My gods. Not. I still sometimes say God, but it's because I'm still coming out of Christianity and going into my Norse paganism. Why can't we just start talking more about these hard topics? And everyone who knows me knows I love talking about hard topics. I love talking about the hard things. And the reason why is because I feel like that does not get enough attention. Right now, our government is letting down our vets. Our chain of command is laying down our vets. And our people are laying down our vets. Because nobody wants to talk about the hard topic. And that's veteran suicide. They try to do it with this slogan, #22. Look at me, I'm doing 22 push-ups to raise awareness. And the number is actually more like 27 a day, not 22. And I was told that while I was still in the military, but was that 27 doesn't really roll off the tongue, and 22 does. And I was talking about that with a coworker today that started gearing this more towards the 22, and he goes, "What do you mean by the 22? It's like 22 vets a day." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, 22 vets a day commit suicide. And he goes, "Oh, damn." I was like, how have you not heard of this? We're the same age. And it would have been easy for me to be like, man, you just can't have your head under the sand. But instead I was able to look at it and be like, the reason you have not heard of this is because not enough people are talking about it. People don't realize the significance that this actually is, the significant state that we are in right now. We keep talking about this pandemic, but nobody's talking about, which just started 2 years ago, but nobody's talking about this other thing that is killing off our population. I mean, if we're just looking at the 10 years of 2007 and 2017, it doesn't go before that, and it's not counting the last 2017, 18, 19, 20, 5 years, we could actually be looking at more veteran deaths than what COVID has done. But for some reason, that's the bigger issue. And by the way, not all those suicides, for those of you who are like, oh, just take away the guns from the vets. Not all those suicides were from guns. Some of those were from the pills that our government, not just our government, but the VA and all the other places push on vets. Go look that up. Go Google that. Not all of this is from a fucking gun being used or a knife slitting the wrist, or I'm not trying to give anyone ideas of how they could do it. But not all of it is from that.
So before I get a gun grabber on here trying to say, oh, just take away the guns from the vets, this is why we have red flag laws. First of all, those are unconstitutional, because now here's the problem with that law. My neighbor finds out, oh, hey, he's a vet, and I think he's got a gun. I'm going to just report him because I don't like guns. I'm going to report him and say he's got PTSD. Now they have to come confiscate my weapon, and I have to prove that I'm in a mental state to have it. That's unconstitutional. Am I okay with the fact that I would have to do it? Yeah, because I know I would pass. But the problem is, I shouldn't have to. A lot of it is that we don't train gun safety anymore. Because actually, the number of gun deaths, most of them are accidental. Look at Alec Baldwin. But this video is not about that. I'll get into that on another video. I've actually talked about that a couple of times. But I'll get into that in another video. This is more geared towards I am trying to raise awareness. And notice how I didn't do it on the 22nd. Notice how I didn't do it during Suicide Awareness Month. Because I feel like it should be something that's talked about more than just those days and that month. It should be something we constantly talk about everything else. We talk about depression more than we talk about veteran suicide. There's so many fucking commercials about that. Why is there no commercial about if you or a loved one are suffering from PTSD or survivor's guilt, reach out? Why are there no commercials about that? Because it doesn't sell. Because most of the time, insurance covers it. So that they're not really going to make money off of the person. They're still going to make money, but they're not making money off the person. Where depression pills, I believe that's a lot of the reason why we have all the medications that we have now, is because it's another way for pharmaceuticals to make fucking money off of a number. And that's all we are. And I believe that all the American citizens is a number 2, yes, but we're just a fucking number. How many numbers do we need to go off to war? It's not how many people. What numbers do we need? What numbers do we have currently? What numbers can we spare? I remember when I was at basic training, my number was 408 because I was in 4th platoon. I was the 8th one in on the platoon. That was my name for the first 3 days. 408. And it drilled into you that that's all you were. And I remember my senior drill sergeant told all of us that the reason why you have those numbers on your helmets, that's because that's all you are to Uncle Sam. You're just a number. You're not an individual. You are not a person. You are a number. And Biden does not realize, and actually no politician who sends us off to war realizes, and the American people don't realize, that when you send us off to war, you are signing our death certificate. Regardless of if we die there or if we come home, you are signing our death certificate. Because we're going to come home either with all of our friends or without all of our friends. We're going to come home. But being over there, being in those kind of situations, is going to kill a piece of us every time. And it doesn't matter if it's a peace mission, it doesn't matter if it's a combat mission. Part of you will die over there. Because you're going to see a cruel reality of what the world actually is. Right now, you live in your little bubble of what your country is. Doesn't matter what country you're from, you're going to live in a little bubble of what your world is. You don't have an actual understanding of what the world actually is like until you get out of your bubble. When I got over to Egypt, Kuwait, other places I've been, it was a culture shock. When I was in Mexico, it was a culture shock for me. You're looking at children who are running around the street, barefoot, no home. Does it happen here? Sure. Not saying it doesn't. They're barefoot. They have no home. They have no families. They have no food. They have no water. They're just doing whatever they have to survive. When I was in Mexico, there was a little girl. Her toy was literally a water bottle, an empty water bottle. That was her doll. She saw that I had a marker. She came over to me. She pulled on my pant leg. I looked down at her and she pointed at my marker and I handed it down to her and she drew a face on her water bottle and gave me back my marker and ran away, cradling it. And I just sat there and started thinking about how back here, if children don't have the latest gadget, if they don't have the latest toy, if they don't have this, that, or the other thing, how many stores do you walk into where they're just having a meltdown? The other thing that was culture shock for me while I was in Mexico, I'm using Mexico as an example because that was my first time ever out of the country and I was 12 years old. There was a kid working at a cash register, begging, like legit putting my stuff that I was buying at the store in a bag. And I was told the reason why he was doing that was because in Mexico, they have child labor laws where they can't work for wages, but they can work for tips. So any tip he made, that was all he made that day. I was told that and I looked down at this kid. I had my interpreter with me and I asked him to ask the kid how old he was. And the interpreter asked, and the kid said that he was 8 years old. Told the interpreter that he was doing this for his family. Dad had died, or had left the family, I don't remember which one it was. And I reached into my pocket and I pulled out $40 and gave him that. Was that a lot of money for a 12-year-old? Yeah. But I knew over there, $40 would buy them food for probably the month. And yeah, I'll call you back later. It was a culture shock for me. And I remember coming home and I wasn't the same. And then I went on my deployment. I came home and I'm not the same. And I know other vets who did the same thing. They came home and they were not the same. What that have to do with 22? Had to do with I'm hoping I'm raising awareness that I'm raising awareness that we struggle every day to try to get back home. We struggle every day with everyday life. And we just hope to make it a little bit better every day. This $2.5 million deal, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Syria was a mistake. We gave them weapons. We got ISIS. We give Egypt weapons. What enemies are we going to create? We have the ability, and first of all, Egypt is none of our responsibility. I don't believe our allies are any of our responsibility. I believe it should be every country takes care of themselves. If you're getting invaded by more than one country, call on another country. But if it's just one country against another, you're on your own. Sorry. Because if we did it that way, Russia takes over Ukraine. Okay. Russia now goes and tries to attack whoever. And that country says no and fights back. And then another country says no and fights back. You have two countries against one, and they're both adjacent. They're both. It's just like if someone attacked America, and Canada decide, hey, we're going to step in, and Mexico decide, hey, we're going to step in, or if Mexico, we'll use Mexico as an example. Mexico decides to try to invade America. America's like, okay, well, fuck you, we're going to fuck you up. And Canada decides, hey, we're going to come give you aid. We're right adjacent to you. Or if Canada tried to attack America, and America was like, yeah, no, and Mexico decided to get involved. Or if Canada and Mexico both decided to try to attack America at the same time, America now calls on an ally to even out the playing field. Because now we have two countries attacking us. See how that worked there? You have two countries attacking one country, and that one country calls on aid. It's kind of, yeah. I'm going to use Israel as an example. Israel never called for aid during the 6-Day War. We were all busy fighting in Vietnam where we had no business being. And Israel wanted to be able to come into Jerusalem. Countries that had control over Jerusalem were Syria, Jordan, who were the other two? I knew this too. Anyway, there were two other countries. I can't think of who they were off the top of my head now. And Egypt and sent them to hell and returned their forces to Jordan. Syria. It was Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and one other country. I can't think of who the other one was. But I want to say Saudi Arabia, but that doesn't sound right. Anyway, Israel held them off for 6 days. Even got into Jerusalem within those 6 days. So they were one country taking on 4 other countries. And at that time, they were not even as big as Israel is now. And took over Jerusalem. And these 4 other countries called down the UN and asked them to make Israel stop. The 4 agitators called down the UN, and the UN decided to side with those 4 countries instead of the ones that were actually being attacked. Now, back to the 22 a day. We have too many who are dying. because of the fact that, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because I have 7 friends who committed suicide because of Afghanistan. 7 brothers and sisters, and countless others that I don't even know. But because I'm on social media pages with other vets, I constantly hear about it. And I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it, and it's because we don't talk about it. That's my honest opinion, is because we don't talk about it, we don't reach out. We don't. And I'm not saying vets don't talk about it, I'm not saying vets don't reach out. I'm saying that people, our government, our caretakers don't reach out. So, in conclusion of this video, may the gods be with you. I love you all. Take care of each other. Reach out to a vet that you know. And if you are a vet and you're watching this, welcome. I love you, brother or sister. I'm in my thoughts and you're in my prayers.